We had a nice weekend. It was nice. Got to talk more about Andy. Got to talk to his wife and some more of his friends and learned all the details, the tragic details. What I'm really kind of coming away with is a pretty clear understanding that the element of training is or benefits from a clear articulation of what to be on the lookout for. And I think a lot of what to be on the lookout for is articulated for family and friends. You do these challenges, et cetera, et cetera. But I really think that there needs to be more emphasis on what to look out for in the context of the individual. So part of the practice of mindfulness is having more awareness of self and having much clearer understandings of what's fostering disruption and what's facilitating ease and presence, and to really have a steady practice that cultivates these skills, the skill of focus, the skill of relaxation, the skill of open-heartedness, gratitude, compassion. I mean, these are all things that you have to really study. But what I have not put as much emphasis on, which I'm going to change, is how much we have to be aware of the bigness of the demons. And this, I've chosen this word because that's the word that everyone's using. Everyone's using the word demon to describe what took Andy out. And so I'm going to just start, I'm just going to be, that's the word. But it's the word of the thing to be prepared for. And so understanding your demons, understanding when they become their most powerful and what facilitates their most kind of how big they can be, and what disperses them, what causes them to be less loud or much more incapable of having an impact. And so that's something that I think every warrior, in particular warrior, and I mean, everybody now, because of daggone trauma of COVID, everybody who's ever experienced trauma needs to understand that inside the darkness is malevolence. And it's the antithesis of life. I mean, it's the thing that gives life, right? It's easier to talk about this in kind of metaphysical terms and light and shadow, but no matter where light goes, darkness is already there. Darkness is waiting. It's the emptiness. It's the end of light. And so what we've got to do as a warrior community is really understand what demons show up for you and how to keep them at bay. And ultimately, I think the way to keep them at bay is to cultivate the light, right? And the light is love and compassion and doing good for others. Now, the question is, you may know that already, but in a time like the pandemic where you literally can't go do all the things that typically foster your expression of light. So how then do you keep cultivating light when you know that darkness is waiting? And so that's I think that's the theme of this week. I'm going to really try to emphasize that this week. So I got 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. Yeah. That's perfect timing. And so that's the piece. All right. So let's get into the training, and then we'll go over the stanza of this week. This week again is going to be all about, preparing, being prepared, and making your life about preparedness. Because cultivating the life that you want, right? The life full of love and engagement and things that feed you and make you feel grow and make you feel like you're growing. All those things are the antidote for all those things just pushed through the darkness. But I want to emphasize that the reason why you keep studying them and keep pushing through is because if you don't, darkness is waiting on the other side of that. And if the light that you're putting out and the light that you're cultivating starts to dim and the demons become louder, do you know what's going to happen? Do you know what happens to you when it happens? Are you prepared? Andy wasn't. And he ended it. So gotta be thinking about that. All right. Safety. Okay. The first thing to be thinking about is safety. How safe are you? And how do you know you're safe? This is even before first bell. And so one way to kind of be assured that you're safe is to just kind of have a checklist of things that you pay attention to before you settle in. And that checklist needs to include kind of comfort and safety on the outside and comfort and safety on the inside. So I know that I am safe because I know this building, I know what's around me, I know what to imagine as potentially could happen, and it's all nothing. Everything is very predictable, very stable. So that's on that outside of me. I'm comfortable where I am in relation to doors and windows. Now on the inside, in terms of creating the most amount of comfort inside my body, I'm sitting on my meditation cushion. My legs are the way that I like them to be. They're comfortable. Okay. I always kind of am noticing my knees and my hips. That's what I follow. Those are my cues to be comfortable. So I've squared that away. So now that that's cool, now I'm going to start to really focus on becoming present. And my goal is to become very, very dialed in, present, really calm, focused on the breath. Everything else has become secondary to this moment. And my intention is to get, by third bell, is to be absolutely present, dialed in, meditative. I'm cultivating that to then set an intention, moving with that ability into my day. So this is a very specific skill that I'm working on. So the first part of that skill is putting the mind in present focus. So that's step bill 1. So as that bell disappears, just go into what your visual field includes and look for straight lines. Straight lines. All the straight lines around you. There's straight lines, and then there's right angles. You can notice right angles. You can notice shapes. Rectangles, squares, circles. So this is taming the mind. This is bringing the mind into the present moment. Then once your eyes have kind of started the process, you can kind of let them down, go right into sound. Again, sound offers opportunities to study the world around you and to reinforce a sense of predictability and security and safety. One way to do this is to develop a perimeter. Okay, and so what I often do is I'll Imagine I'm the center of a clock. I'll set the clock as far out as the furthest sound I can hear. Then I'll situate where that sound is on the clock. And all the other sounds too. And I've always got refrigerator at 1 o'clock. I've got birds at 8 o'clock outside the house. And once I've established my sound perimeter, I can go into temperature or touch, which is the feel of the air on my skin, the feel of my skin on my skin. So my hands are touching my knees. There's fabric on my skin. There's no breeze. If I check out smell, I notice there's no smells to be aware of. Taste in the mouth. Taste is empty without anything to notice. Now, just resting in the presence provided by my senses, I move on to second bell. Second bell sends that same presence through the body. So now I check in one more time with what's right beneath me. So it's my ground. So I study the way my butt feels on my cushion, my feet feel underneath me, and I can even use my imagination to kind of bore down below the concrete, below the foundation of what I'm sitting on, all the way into the dirt, grounding myself. Now, to be grounded is to have the potential to grow. So once I'm stable and grounded, I move into the pelvis, which is the base of my spine. And this is, think of like a sit reps, right? You're looking for sit reps at each location. So if you were a commander, you'd be going to each of these sections and be like, hey, what's going on? You good? And if it's good, you set it so that it's as stable as it can be, and then you build on top of that. So you go from pelvis to core, soften core, create ease in core. What's core feel like today? Move up heart space again, softening, maybe even a movement here, movement there, which is kind of like sending a signal, right? A preparatory command. Cause a little vibration, cause a little movement, cause a little feeling. From there, throat, maybe a swallow, feeling of air. Top of the head's top of the spine. Just for a second there, and just spend a little bit of time kind of imagining you're moving your entire spine at the same time. Come back to the center. Move into third bell. So now third bell is a state of meditation. You're present, you're aligned, And now you focus on your breath to the exclusion of all else. Just focus on your breath. Now, what will show up is everything else, thoughts, imaginations, moods, etc., etc. But what you want to do is you want to practice just coming back to your breath. No matter what shows up, keep coming back to your breath. You can use a mantra. You could say breath, 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 breath. Or you could focus on the feeling of what it feels like to breathe. Combination of the two. Your only goal is to keep coming back. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. Don't worry if your mind wanders. It's totally cool. Just keep coming back. Keep coming back. Come back to that breath. Come back to that present moment. Come back to the root of your heart, the root of your goodwill. It's just presence and breath. This is the light right here, right now, being cultivated. Let's do 3 minutes. So that's the base, right? That's the base. That's the foundation. Okay. Now, cultivating that, cultivating the ability to move out of all the other stuff that shows up as part of the human experience, your thoughts, your mood, your attitudes, your imaginations, all those things, cut through all of them, get to absolute stillness, presence, focus on the moment, get to that space. Once you're at that space, work on staying there, regardless of what else shows up. You work on staying in that space of presence and breath. And so whatever shows up, you just keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back. Now, how does that work in the real world to, prepare for peace or study peace, prepare for demons? Well, that's kind of where this stanza kind of sits. So loyalty, here's the 31st stanza. Loyalty and devotion lead to bravery, okay? Bravery leads to the spirit of self-sacrifice. That's it right there. The spirit of self-sacrifice creates trust in the power of love. So loyalty and devotion lead to bravery. So what we're doing as we are practicing present tense awareness, cultivating our relationship to our spine, and then becoming absolutely still with the breath, that's bravery, right? So that's the skill set that you hope, right? You hope to be able to bring to a volatile moment. So a moment of turmoil, a moment of crisis. You are adept enough at your awareness, the alignment of your body. You have a couple skills to bring yourself into that moment without getting pulled away. So that leads you to feel like, okay, I can do this, right? So being able to do it is only as kind of evolved as your willingness to use your skills for the good of others. And so for the good of others is self-sacrifice. Self-sacrifice. That is the ultimate cure for what ails humans, is sacrificing your time, your effort, and your energy for someone else's benefit. Even the science suggests if you want to feel happier, practice self-sacrifice. And I'm not talking about like sacrificing yourself, in terms of like for the cause. I'm talking about like sacrificing your TV time, sacrificing your Sunday, sacrificing your evening, sacrificing your privilege, sacrificing your privilege for on someone else's behalf. And then this is the cool part. The spirit of self-sacrifice creates trust in the power of love. And so trust in the power of love is trust in the trust in the sense that all the stuff that you're doing isn't just going into an empty hole, right? It's not just emptiness. It's not why you're doing it. And then you're putting yourself out there in terms of sacrificing kind of your own plan or your own privilege or whatever. You sacrifice that. You put it out there. And what happens when you put it out there is you just see over and over and over again how it comes back. And part of what makes life so worth it is to see the way it comes back and to recognize how it feels. And when you see the way that kind of takes place, what you experience is more love. And your demons hate that. Well, it's not even that they hate it. They're completely put to sleep by it. They can't compete. It's like shadow can't compete with light. The second shadow comes into light, it disappears. So your demons just kind of disappear when love is at the forefront of your life. Now, it doesn't mean they're gone. And it doesn't mean that what you've got and how you've done it and the stuff that you've done is is enough. Like there should never be a time when you're like, see, I'm good. I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. No, there's never a time for that. We have to always be on the lookout for where we are slacking and where we aren't putting our love out there. And we always have to be finding creative ways to do it. And we always have to be pushing that edge a little bit. That's really important because I think part of where Andy and us, all of us who look out for Andy and look out for each other, I think what we didn't account for is just how significant all the goodwill Andy did was in his life. And with the pandemic, there's just no way around it. There was no way around the fact that we just couldn't do the stuff that we typically did. Like part of what kept Andy going over and over and over again were honor visits. And this is actually a time when we would have done honor visits. August and September, we were starting to come into the season. And I'd call Andy up and I'd be like, hey man, I need you at Arlington, and I need you there tomorrow at 9 a.m. And he'd be there 9 a.m. fresh as a damn daisy. Half his drinking would go way down, and he'd be there, clean, shaven, ready to go. Can't do that. You can't do it, right? So all those things, right? I mean, I don't know what I would do if I couldn't do all the things that I do now because of technology. Like if all of a sudden I lost the internet, man, I would just be like shit. But then I'd have to really think, okay, I've lost, okay, I have to get back. I have to get back to the work. I have to get back to the work. And how to get back to the work during a pandemic? Figure it out. So again, going back to the stanza, loyalty and devotion lead to bravery, right? So brand new territory. What do we do? I don't know. Let's start. That's bravery. Well, what are we going to be brave for? Well, we're going to put our goodwill out there for others who don't have as much as we do. Okay. Well, what's going to happen? I don't know. What are we going to do? Don't know. Just be brave. Let's start. And then what happens every single time is you're like, he came back. That's the power of love. And that's where you start to build trust. And then it's like, doesn't matter what shows up. Pandemic, pestilence, plague. I trust that love will lead me in the right direction. So, yeah. Study the practice, prepare for demons. Study peace, prepare for demons. That's going to be the theme this week. We're honoring Andy's memory and remembering Andy on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Look for the sign-up links. All right, Armadale. Talk to you tomorrow.